In asset management. Thank you for joining us, Thabi. Let me take a seat and then ask if this is a great relief for you.
Definitely. I mean, it's a good way to end the week. This has been a very tough week in terms of, the political noise and some economic data, but it's a good ending to the week.
There was this risk, and just explain the difference between debt denominated in foreign currency, debt denominated in rands, and I was asking him there why they see it differently. But was that the biggest fear, that the rand debt could be touched?
Definitely, because the rand debt, what we call a local currency debt, remains investment grade. And even though, if you look at the distinction between foreign investors and local investors, it's about, I think we've got 35% of our bond holders are foreign investors. So we were worried that if the local currency debt is downgraded, we will see an outflow, a significant outflow that would have a catastrophic impact on the economy. So I think with the local currency down, if the local currency was downgraded, we would feel the downgrade as opposed to when the foreign currency debt was downgraded at the end of March. We were actually able to recover somewhat from that downgrade.
And I think this is interesting because there were claims it could be so catastrophic, but we haven't really felt the full impact yet.
That's true. I mean, there are a lot of factors which are exogenous, so it's not South African
we've been lucky.
Problems. Also, the South Africa, or we haven't really been able to solve it necessarily. I think that it is exogenous factors. So the fact that the US economy also has not been shooting out the lights off. There's also been political noise in the US. We also we saw outflows from that Brexit when the Prime Minister Theresa May decided that she's going to call for re-elections or elections because she hasn't been re-elected, and the Frexit was also, there was uncertainty around there. Coupled with that, we had emerging markets were supported by this wall of money. So we started seeing a lot of flows into emerging markets, mainly because due to the search for yield. So those investors who are willing to take the risk because of high, to take the risk and buy into high yielding currencies, then they would go into invest in some countries like South Africa, Brazil, Turkey, and that's what really has supported the currency.
All right, so all of this cushioning the blow, and now another relief, not changing the rand denominated debt. Is this a reprieve? Because Moody's unlikely to put us into junk. So does this mean we can relax for the next 6 months or so?
Not so much relax. I think that we need to continue working very hard to ensure that we do not get downgraded. The problem with being one notch below and on a local currency one notch up is that we're trying to ensure that we actually go back into investment grade and ensure that the local currency debt doesn't get downgraded. So in order for us to ensure that we improve, we need to do a lot in terms of reforming, in terms of improving business and consumer confidence, instead of also economic growth, and ensuring that the politics or political noise doesn't undermine economic growth.
To what extent are these own goals, the downgrades in the first place? Because we're talking about there's global factors, local factors. Government's lack of decisiveness around policy is there. We know businesses are holding back on investment. So is this all in our hands?
A lot of it is all in our hands. Remember that the reason why we had that unscheduled downgrade to begin with was mainly because of political risk. And if we didn't have that political risk or the reshuffle that resulted in the downgrade, we could actually, we wouldn't have been on the edge in terms of talking about.
Would we not have headed there anyway? Or could we have turned things around?
I don't think so, because rating agencies were relatively satisfied with the improvements that we had done between the MTBPS and the budget. And it was the risks that they mentioned were the risks that we've always had. But also remember that there were there was relationships between government, labour and business that were lauded by the rating agencies. They thought it was a great plan, and also it somewhat increased confidence that they are all working together towards one goal. And when the reshuffle happened, meant that that relationship then kind of broke, and now we're trying to establish that relationship again.
And I think there's no doubt that the rating agencies liked the direction of Pravin Gordhan as finance minister. Are you heartened to hear from S&P saying, look, they have been convinced by the new finance minister that at least we're going to continue on that path that deals with our debt, because that's a problem?
So when we asked rating agencies if they would react because of a reshuffle, they actually said no. So it's not about the personality in Treasury. It's about keeping to the fiscal policy. So fiscal consolidation, ensuring that we kind of stick to the forecast that we set, or that Treasury set, in terms of consolidating debt, and ensuring that our GDP ratio doesn't increase, which seems to be increasing currently. But it was the policy certainty, the fiscal policy that they were concerned about. So regardless of who is actually the finance minister, as long as they continue with the work that is required to shrink the deficit. Where I guess the reshuffle was a problem because it then brought uncertainty.
Okay, and now the uncertainty linked to politics, and you've mentioned that, S&P, all the rating agencies mentioned that, and I'm interested in what you think about these emails. Is it good that dirty laundry perhaps is being aired, that the truth is coming out, or is this just going to make us look worse and make everything worse?
I think that, they are shocking, these emails, and I think the first reaction is negative, but at the same time it actually maybe is it's almost like a teenager growing up to be an adult. I think that we need to have these skeletons, so to speak, revealed, and it will also help us to then go think about what we should do in terms of solving this corruption problem, the politics. So maybe let me just be a little bit optimistic about these emails and say we could see it could bring about hope and could correct a lot of the issues that we are previously had and we're currently seeing them unfold. So looking forward, maybe it is a good thing that we have these skeletons to the fore, that everybody now knows about them, and we can in future pick the right people to in the right positions, and people who are dedicated to South Africa, to also to South Africa Inc. and growing South Africa.
I like that positive view. And final question, on a economic policy front, what is one thing we really have to do now that we've been given this reprieve for a few months?
So there's a lot that we can do. There's the mining the mining bill that needs to be signed. We need to look at also the education and how we need to solve that. We need to look at ways in which reforms, the structural issues that we've been talking about all these years. We need to deal with them. Go back. Are we going back to vocational training, investing more money into that? Maybe looking at ways in which to redirect our fiscus in terms of maybe reprioritizing certain things which will be growth enabling. So there are various things that we can do in the short term that will appease the rating agencies and that will give South Africa kind of a clear direction of where we're going. We do have the NDP, and we really haven't been good in terms of implementing some of the very important things that document has recommended. And I think that one way of actually solving some of the issues is going back to some of those recommendations and applying them.
All right, so action is needed. Thank you so much. Great to chat to you. As always, Thabi Leoka from Argon Asset Management. Well, there's been a slew of